What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday. We are done with the regular season of football. It means it's time for NBA main focus. It's going to be really fun next weekend for football. We'll get into that then. But we've got a nice 9-gamer, and you know, these slates are great this year. They're also a little tricky because there's so many back-to-backs and stuff like that. But we're going to try and figure it out. We're going to give you the first look here, and we'll be back with you to do a live before lock for at least a half hour a little later today. Or at least
first of all, that was so the live stuff I'm kind of into. As a matter of fact, even the one I did myself the other day, I had a good mix of guys that are always there. I had a couple of trolls in there that I was able to handle. It was actually kind of some of the guys telling me how that I was an idiot for playing Eric Bledsoe, which he only ended up playing like 10x or something like that on that day. But it was fun. The other thing that's coming up, by the way, I'll just kind of pre-promote this. Golf's returning this weekend, and we're getting to have Rick Rungood coming on, who's literally like the first guy I ever subscribed to, and he's like an awesome golf guy, and he's gonna come on with us Wednesday to break that down.
Awesome, that'll be great, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. All right, well, let's start off. Let's go game by game and see if we can make sense of this from a morning perspective. We've got a lot of question marks, but you ready to get it started?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that, I mean, let's project out in the future. I mean, the availability of Luka and Harden is basically runs the whole slate, right? I mean, like if both those guys are out, it's totally like almost a 1-game slate, and if both those guys are in, then it's a legitimate 9-game slate. You know what I mean? Right. So we'll talk game by game, and then I think we'll do the live thing. And by then, with any luck, we'll have some little bit of clarity.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, let's start it off with one of the tough ones, Cleveland or Orlando here. We have a lot of question marks. It's going to come down to whether or not, we have Garland questionable. We've got Okoro questionable. I don't know where to stand on this. So if both those guys play, I like both of those guys a little bit. Where do you stand on this game? Because I feel like it's really hard until we get more concrete information.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm supposed to be that sweating over a Darius Garland in or out. Is it that big a deal? In other words, if he doesn't play, does Sexton really garner that much more usage? I figured I would just ask.
I think he would. I mean, maybe not so much more. At 7.2 on DK, it's not like we absolutely have to play him there, but like I do think that he would be a much stronger play without him. It doesn't change much in the way of Drummond, but Okoro being out or in, not that I don't think I'm gonna play Larry Nance anyway, but that would sort of eliminate Larry Nance if Okoro played. And again, I'm kind of interested in Okoro if he was in. The other thing it could open up if Garland was out is potentially Dante Exum. Maybe if both these guys are out, Chidi Osman, but I don't know if we want to go for him at 5K anyway. So maybe look, I don't have a ton of interest in this game. If I did, it was going to be, if they're all healthy, it was going to be Garland and maybe a little bit of Drummond. But I'm not infatuated with any of it.
Yeah, I don't look. You've been doing this longer than I have. I never had any luck playing these low usage, high minute guards like Exum. If he plays 30, 35 minutes or whatever it is at 3,900. I guess he's fine. What's he going to get? I don't know. I'd much prefer, for example, the Boston guy, if Teague is out, that we've actually seen take it to the rack, and you know what I mean? Like he actually tries to do something. So I don't know if I'll do that. I actually I didn't realize he was going to be 5K. But if Garland were out, I guess Osman would be somebody I would want to play. But again, at 5K, maybe that's not what I'm supposed to do. So I'm kind of with you in that. I don't really have a lot of interest in this game. And can I tell you something interesting, by the way?
Yeah,
so Drummond is always a good play. You know who I've actually some really good sneaky luck with is JaVale McGee. Now they priced him up a little bit, but he's keep forgetting how long he's been around, but he still tries, man, when he's out there. And he puts up some fantasy points. Again, I don't know if I'm going to play him today. I'm just kind of staring at him on my board though. And again, I'm not too into the Cleveland side. Again, if, for example, if Harden and Luka are out, I'll probably play 0 people from this game. Orlando, I like. I actually did like somebody from over there. Yeah. So if Fournier is in, I don't want to play Fournier. It certainly impacts Terrence Ross a little bit. A lot of it, I guess, if Fournier is in. And Ross is definitely a guy that people are going to play anyway, and they're also going to play because he scored 40 fantasy points in his last game. So I think he'll end up being popular, but I don't know. Is it for good reason? Are we supposed to play these shooting guys? You know what I mean? Like the guys that are relying on shots or not? I mean, that's a question I would have for you. Markelle Fultz has been pretty steady this year. I don't mind him. And Vooch has been pretty steady. I don't mind him either. I actually took a shot, by the way, the other day with Aaron Gordon on the theory that I thought he was going to finally get to 30 minutes. And it wasn't bad, man. It really wasn't bad at all. Between him, Donovan Mitchell, and who's the other guy I don't play, and Chris Middleton, like Aaron Gordon's guys and Harrison Barnes, haven't really done much for me, but I was been kind of waiting for him to get his minutes released a little bit, and maybe I could just start playing him and see, while he stays under 6K.
Yeah, if both Ennis and Fournier are out, I think it actually does boost Gordon a little bit because they can use him a little bit as the 3. But the truth is they haven't played him 30 minutes in a game this season. They're playing well. But at 5.9, I definitely have Gordon on my board. I just think this game is we'll wait and see, but would have to take like someone else unusual in the starting lineup or something because everybody's priced at a point where even if somebody's out, I don't really love anything from this game, and maybe that's where we should probably leave it. You like
the other guy, the 35-minute guy, Michael Carter-Williams?
Michael Carter, what 35-minute guy?
Doesn't he play 35 minutes when everybody's out or something? I mean,
if everybody's out, yes, I would have been interested in him if everybody's out. He's still, again, though, he's at 4.6. He's more interesting on FanDuel in some ways at 3.7. He still hasn't put up 25 fantasy points in a game this year, and there has been guys out. So it's just none of it feels particularly exciting. And if everybody's in, I definitely don't have it.
That game sucks. The game just sucks.
But I do think that there's some argument for Drummond on the other side, and I think that even the same token. You could do worse than Vooch. I'm not going to end up playing much of these guys, but if I'm mass entering, which I will be on FanDuel, I'll have some exposure there.
So Charlotte, I'm going to do something a little different than I usually do, I think, with Charlotte. So I like, I don't want to say chase, but I don't think I want to play LaMelo Ball. I can't quite figure out why I don't want to play him, but I prefer to play, what's his name, the more expensive guy. I prefer to play Gordon Hayward, I think, as my guy from the Charlotte side. And the other guy from Charlotte I like is Davonte Graham. The only thing is, and it's not a coincidence, by the way, that he hasn't been getting the usage this year as last year. They actually, there's some coach speak going into the season saying they're not going to be relying on him for as much as they were over the past year or two. So he's cheap, but again, the game itself is not too thrilling. The Philly side, I just wanted to mention that Seth Curry is doing great.
Yeah.
And I would play him again. So you have Terrence Ross who's relying on shooting, but you have Seth Curry also a little bit, but Seth Curry's been doing really, really well. So I would play him, and I would play Embiid. The other thing I think that you have to consider, by the way, and you don't like playing this guy, but it's possible that Tobias Harris is good.
Well, I mean, look, Tobias Harris is a good basketball player. He's nothing special. I know he's put up some big games recently.
Yeah.
And he's not always been a good fantasy producer. Again, shot really well in those games. What's interesting to me about him this year is the rebounding numbers are up and the assist numbers are up. So he does have some more appeal than usual. I agree that on DraftKings, I definitely have a little bit of interest in him, which is a pretty rare thing. I don't think Tobias Harris is bad. In general, I always have the same thing on large slates. This is not the kind of guy you want to play, but that's also based on previous information over the past years that we've gathered. Slightly different role in this new offense, which oddly enough is leading him to more assists and more rebounds. Again, though, still, it just feels like there's probably going to be better spots that I'd rather spend my money on the slate. To me, this game is I do have interest in LaMelo. I watch this guy play enough to where he's just so actively involved in so many things. I mean, you look at the last game, he shoots 30% from the floor and he puts up 37 fantasy points. You know, if he's going to get these 30 minutes, he's going to put up numbers. People are going to say, you know, steals and blocks. Sure, those are various things. He's like his brother in that, though. He's going to get you a couple steals a game. He's going to get you a block every now and then, maybe every other game or so. So he's got, you know, it sort of raises his floor a little bit if he's going to get the minutes. It just feels like there's still a lot of bodies in there, and everybody's sort of priced okay. Davonte Graham, if he shot the ball a little better, might have actually had some decent games this year. But mostly with PJ Washington's, you know, thumb injury, he's still going to play, but they're definitely playing him less minutes. I don't feel as good about him, but this game feels a little bit blah to me too. I think that if I was going to play anybody, it'd be LaMelo and maybe some PJ Washington, and hoping that the minutes uptick back in the right direction, because I think there is some variance for all these Charlotte guys because they've got like 8 bodies they really rotate. But on the other side, I do think that Joel Embiid is a really strong play, and I forgot to mention that I like what's his name quite a bit on FanDuel. I have him more on FanDuel than I do on DraftKings. I don't know why, but I just think that having some Biyombo when they're playing against teams with bigs and he really has to be out there is just one of the guys on my list. I don't know if I would say I like him quite a bit, but he'd be like 9th in my list of centers, but one of my better medium value ones. So mostly, again, this is not a very exciting game for me either, but I think Joel Embiid could simply crush here. So I'll have some interest in him.
All right. So the totals and I guess the pace of game may pick up a little bit when we go to the Knicks Atlanta. I have a basketball I don't want to say take, but it does reflect on fantasy a little bit. Trae Young has been playing much better this year than last year, and part of what happens in that situation is his fantasy production might be lower.
That's right.
And that's just the way basketball works sometimes, you know. And so I was watching the last couple of games he played when he was really, really good, like against Brooklyn in both those games. And, you know, what did he get? 50, 40, you know what I mean? Like, not that there's anything wrong with that, but you know, it's not the Trae Young that's just freaking just wildly psycho shooting 80 times from 3/4 court, you know, whatever, sacrificing some turnovers down the road for more action. He's trying to pass the ball. He's trying to get his team involved, and he's a much better player this year. So I don't think this is kind of a very primitive way of putting it, but I just don't think he's worth 9,800. You know what I mean? I just don't think that he's that kind of guy. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to play him. On Atlanta, I play the guys I usually play. I like the two cheaper guys. I like Bogdan and I like DeAndre Hunter a little bit. And then if I'm going to play Trae, even not. I mean, like I was going to say that, but remember at the beginning of the year, I'm like, you know, we could start playing Trae and Capella together if they start really running pick and rolls together. Mm-hmm. So I think that, so Capella played 30 minutes the other day, and I don't know if he sat in the second end of the back-to-back or not. And I remember I was looking at it, and I didn't think he was going to play 32 games in a row. Let me see what he ended up doing. He really did. He played 30 in back-to-back games. Wow, this was the one we were going over. You know, I suck. This is what we were doing in the live stream. And I was going back and forth between Capella, and I played him in like a couple of lineups, but not all of them, because I was just really suspicious that after being injured or whatever, they would play him 30 minutes in back-to-back games, and they totally did. He had 16 rebounds, and he went for 100x. Damn it. So I feel as though he's a really, really good play. I guess so. On the Knicks side, you gotta watch to see Alec Burks, whether he's still out or not. But if he's still out, I mean, this is a guy I don't like to play that much. But I mean, Reggie Bullock's gotten 100 minutes, man. I mean, like, literally, he's got like 40 minutes, like 2 out of the last 3 games. And 30, they let him in for 38 minutes despite going 0 for 9 from 3. He was 0 for 9, and they still ran him out there for 38 minutes. So you know, why not? He's 30. He's 30. What's his price? His 4,300 starting against Atlanta. I don't know. It's not a guy I usually like to play, but think about it. Randall 9K. Yeah, I guess expensive.
Yeah, look, I like Randall better on FanDuel where he's 8,100. I think he's a really, really strong play over there. I actually don't mind him on DraftKings either. This game,
and then there's the usual like Peyton again. I don't know if I'll get to Mitch Robinson, but again, this is a very juicy game, I think.
Yeah, if Alec Burks is out, I'm happy to go back to Peyton on both sites.
Okay.
And I'm happy to play Mitchell Robinson in this type of environment, regardless of anything, any other news that we're going to get. So I like Mitchell Robinson either way. I think that there's an argument, like at some point, I'm going to have to try and figure out, like, I think Barrett's a really good play on FanDuel as well. I really like these guys on FanDuel. Their prices make a little more sense. But he hasn't quite put that ceiling game up that we like, but I think he's all right. My favorites in this game would be in order, Elf, if there's no Burks. If there is Burks or not, I still love Randall, and I like Randall better if Burks is out, but I like just for a usage standpoint. And I like Mitchell Robinson. I'm going to prefer Mitchell Robinson on FanDuel always because of the shot blocking upside, and I just think he's a better play over there. So that's sort of where I'm at. It's Randall, then Elf. Assuming that Burks is out on FanDuel. And then I'll have some Barrett and Robinson. But on DraftKings, it's really hard for me to want to play them at these prices. I still will play Peyton. He's the one that doesn't really bother me, the price. I also, Kevin Huerter is questionable tonight, that could open up a little bit more on the Atlanta side of things. And I think that what we do then is Bogdanovich, I'm going to play on FanDuel at 4.7 anyway. But I know he's sort of taking it out. I know the assist numbers are down because of playing with Trey and all that stuff. If Huerter's out, it should open up a little bit more for him, get him into the 32-minute range. And I wouldn't mind taking a shot at him. He's 4,700 on FanDuel. On DraftKings, less appealing at 5,500, but can certainly get hot and get you there. And then John Collins still feels just too cheap to me. I know he's had, kind of a dud game against Cleveland on the back-to-back, but, had two good games against Brooklyn right before that.
He is cheap. He's only 7,200, huh? Yeah,
so John Collins is definitely on my list. And where he's over on FanDuel, I believe he's even, where do we have him here?
He can't be under 7K.
Yeah, he's 6,800. So he's like, he's going to be chalky, and I'm going to eat some of that chalk. I like this game a lot. I want to try and find ways to play it. I agree with what you said about Trae Young. It's really true. I'm not ready to take the L on him overall, that he can't be the best player on like a really, really, really great team. But this team is really deep, really strong, and he seems to play into it pretty well. And the better real life he is at basketball, the worse he is for us at DFS. So we just can't play him as much, in my opinion. So, but we do want pieces of this game. We'll revisit this one later on too, just to check on the injuries and whatnot.
OKC Miami, you want to do this one?
Yeah. So on the OKC side, look, it's the same. It just feels like if we're playing any of these guys on a 9-game slate, we're doing something wrong. I don't know how else to put it. I don't see any real pricing gaps. I mean, having some exposure to a guy who's has usage as high as Shea, but like, when is he really blowing out this price tag? And why are we going to play him against a terrific defensive team that's going to slow the pace down a little bit? So I'm sort of out on their side. You can always take a shot on Baisley, even Horford on FanDuel at 5.3. But I think for me, this is mostly just stay away from OKC.
What about Miami?
Miami side, of course, until we hear the information, like half the team's resting or something. Miami, it depends on the site you're playing on, because I'm sort of jumping back and forth between the two of them. I like Duncan Robinson. I know he hasn't had that game for us yet, but I'm willing to keep taking shots on him. So look, you get the 3-point bonus on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he's 4.1. He's 4.6 on DraftKings. I think he's in play on both sites, but I don't think I'm going to touch anybody else. Nothing wrong with ever playing Bam. I'm just not going to do it tonight.
Yeah, so here's who I like in this game. I actually do like one guy on Miami, and I do like a couple of guys in OKC, and it's not going to be Shea. The guys I want to play on teams like this are just teams that are just guys that are young, that they want to give some run, that they're not, no game's an important game, so they're going to let them run a little bit. The guys that I like Baisley pretty much every game, and guy who's been getting a little bit, in regular rotation mode and is getting a little bit better is Hamidou Diallo.
Mm-hmm.
So at 3,800, I would take a shot with him. He's it's like one of those things where if he's running a little bit hot, you know what I mean? They might just let him roll. And like I said, do you need him on 9-game slate? I guess not, but he's the one guy I'm interested in. The one guy I want to play a little bit more of, I've just seen him play a little bit more. I watch these Miami games, is Kelly Olynyk. I mean, he's been he's only 3,900. He's played 30 minutes, 2 games in a row.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, 3,900. I don't know. So that's the only price really that stood out for me on the Miami side. Bam is awesome, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll put Olynyk in his little note here because I actually think that's actually a good point. He's, and it's not like he's like doing anything crazy, like shooting the ball out of control to get his, he's been producing. So yeah, Kelly Olynyk definitely more in play on DraftKings than FanDuel. But yeah, I agree with that. I think that I would lean towards Duncan Robinson as my favorite target.
I agree with it. And again, this game look, all games could blow out. We'll talk about another one later, but I don't know. You get Kelly Olynyk having some fun in a game like that. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. All right.
We got a real good game here, huh?
Yeah. The rematch. You want to start it off?
Yeah, sure. So Jeff Teague. Oh, they already ruled him out.
Yep.
Okay.
So we have Pritchard now is going to be a priority.
So Pritchard is 3,700, and just want to think about how. If he's going to be one of those really chalky guys, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, he'll be owned, but I don't know. Is he going to be one of those like Raul Neto guys? You know what I mean? Like it's
maybe not quite that high, but he'll be.
That's what I mean. It's a tough. It's a game they want to win. You know what I mean? Like it's a game they want to win.
He's their guy though. He's their closer. Like Jeff Teague is not their closing guy. He's the guy who closes. So now he gets the Jeff Teague minutes also.
You don't think that it'll end up being something like points, Marcus Smart, Jalen Brown, Tatum?
He closes every game for them. He closes.
I got you.
Yeah, I've been looking at their rotations. The only games he didn't were blowouts.
So yeah, he stands out on the Boston side. They're pricing these guys up in a I don't want to say a tough matchup, but so what's interesting is I guess Tristan Thompson.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. Did they rest him last time? Yeah, they did something where we ended up playing.
We're going to get no Tristan Thompson tonight, but I don't have any confirmation on that. That's just my guess. Maybe if they want to win, they'll let him at least start. But still they have priced up the other guys to where it's, do we really want to play them even?
Yeah. So if Thompson sits again, I think Tice is a little expensive, right? Well, let's put it this way: like Tice and Williams together are like 9,000. I think the last time Thompson was out, these guys together might have been like 7,500 or something. You know what I mean? Like I feel as though.
And probably should be noted, they were both on all the winning lineups. Everybody double paired the two guys who never played together were on the winning lineup. So that's how it went last time. Anyway, keep going.
Right. So I the center position is good though. I don't know. I don't know what I want to do there.
Good.
Oh, so I was going to say, so Toronto. They've been starting Aaron Baines. They can't really give him, I guess, more than 20 minutes for some reason, but 4K. Aside from that, this looks like one of those games where Kyle Lowry plays 40 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like Lowry and Van Vliet, and I'll tell you who's like a little annoying is Siakam. He's kind of annoying. He hasn't done really anything for me. I had him. I had that whole game pretty well nailed. That Toronto New Orleans game. That was the one I told you that I was talking about live stream. I thought it was going to be just like that. And I had Bledsoe. I had like the right guys, and I just had Siakam in like every lineup. And it just that's the way it goes sometimes. I guess I might go back to him. That's the best I can describe it. So just the regular dudes for me, him, Van Vliet. It just feels though this is like I said, you have Lowry maybe being guarded by a rookie. I don't know.
Well, you may have Lowry guarded by Marcus Smart also.
You might. Well, who's Pritchard guarding? Pritchard's got to guard somebody.
Then you have Van Vliet guarding him. I think you're going to see a mix of different things that they'll throw at him. And also they could honestly throw Jalen, or they can throw Jalen here of those guys.
Right. So, yeah, I like the regular guys from Toronto. And I might get priced out of the Boston guys, and that's kind of silly considering Jalen Brown at 70 fantasy points a night. I don't know. What do you think?
I think Jalen Brown's taking the leap. I really do. I believe in this guy, and he's been really good in the past, but I still don't think that I need to play him at this price. But I think that Tatum is a terrific play on both sites actually, but I prefer him on DK. 8,600 feels too cheap again for him. I know he's been, I would say hit or miss, but really he's just been hitting, and he's had one sort of downish game, which is the game that they blew the hell out of Memphis. Other than that, every other game is sort of in the familiar range. And if he shoots the ball, like if he makes half of his shots, I feel pretty confident in him scoring between 45 and 55. And I think he's a really, really strong play no matter what. I love Marcus Smart. I prefer him on FanDuel because at 6,600, it gets a little tight. But on FanDuel at 5,700, I really like him as a shooting guard option. I want to get exposure to this, and I want to run a little bit back and forth because I really want to try out. I really want to play some of both VanVleet and Lowry. I think VanVleet is my preferred guy on DraftKings, and Lowry would be my preferred guy on FanDuel at 7,500. Their prices are sort of swapped depending on the sites, between the sites. So I prefer Lowry on FanDuel and VanVleet on DraftKings, and I think that they're both solid plays. Will we find better ones? But yeah, probably. But they're the good middle of the road plays that are going to play a million minutes. They're going to give you maximum upside. This is an important game, which they sort of treat every game like it is, but I just feel so secure with the minutes. And even though Lowry, I may not excite you because he's only put up over 40 once this year, but he's been right around 40 in every game, and he put up 49 in the one game against Philly. I think he's a better play at 7,500 on FanDuel than he is on DK, but I definitely have some interest. I'd probably lean VanVleet on DK.
All right. So Dallas Houston is, it could end up being like a really nice game to play some guys from, or it can end up being just like the uber mega chalk that you can't get away from. So depends on what happens. So let's get out of the way. I guess I'll do it first. So if both Harden and Luka are out, and I think they're both considered questionable, then you basically play four Cowboys, so to speak. I mean, like you play Brunson. What's Brunson's price? I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, play Brunson 3,300. He scored like 50 just yesterday, right? I mean, you play Trey Burke. You play what's his name? Hardaway, Richardson, DFS. I mean, pretty much anybody. I mean, and you play probably four of them if you want to know the truth. And then on the Houston side, if Harden is out, I mean, even if he's not, I mean, like it's John Wall, Eric Gordon. I mean, Christian Wood is. I mean, I was expecting Cousins to come and make a dent into Wood's minute. I mean, but maybe he's just not healthy yet, Cousins. So it's just, I don't know, Wood, Gordon, Wall, four Cowboys, you know what I mean? And it's the end of the lineup, I guess. That I don't see much how you really get away from that if both those guys are out. I guess what's interesting is if maybe one or two of them are in, then we could have a little bit better conversation. But if in fact they're in, if you want to know the truth, I still think Wood is probably the best center play on the slate. So that's where I am. I mean, I'm not saying anything earth-shattering. I think everything that I said is going to be owned by 50% of the pool, but that's where it is.
Yeah, so I'm just taking a look, jumping back and forth between the sites here. So Christian Wood is way too cheap on DraftKings. That seems pretty clear. And I don't even know that Cousins. It's not like they couldn't play these guys together in certain matchups. Although this wouldn't be the one you would think they would. But I mean, look, we still have. I'm not going to play PJ Tucker with the Cousins looming a little bit. I think he's going to start ticking up more in minutes, is my guess, but I don't think it's going to happen overnight. So John Wall is a terrific play on DraftKings. He's not a terrific play on FanDuel at 8,500, but he's a fine play. Obviously, there's no Harden. He's an excellent play. But I think he's a good play still at 7,600, even with Harden in. I think he's okay. I'm going to have some if everybody's healthy, I'm going to have some Wall, Luka, and I'm going to have some Harden Luka with trying to get my extreme value elsewhere. And if they're out, like you said, you have to play all these guys, but it really is hard to know what to do without them in the meantime, The guys I would throw out, I know other people like to play DFS sometimes. I just think on big slates, it's always a mistake. I think he's hit 20 fantasy points more than that once this year. Jalen Brunson coming off of the absolutely crazy game yesterday. I don't think I'm going to touch him as long if Luka plays, but again, obviously if Luka's out, I think the one guy who I will play regardless I'll play a little bit of Josh Richardson on FanDuel, and I'll play Maxi Kleber on both sites. The minutes for projection for him has always seemed a little bit off. Like if the games are close, he usually plays close to 30 minutes. Maybe on the back-to-back, he wouldn't quite as much, but I don't see really, like, it's not like he's being killed by these minutes. It's not like he's like the most valuable guy in the world, but he does enough things, especially on FanDuel, where he'll get you some, he's always like a 1% owned. He can get you some steals and some blocks. And so he's a kind of like one of the ultimate value guys I would use. If I was going to play like a Harden Luka lineup, he might be in that one too, as a filler. And also you get a little bit of the correlation in case of overtime or down the stretch play, or maybe he gets hot, etc. Along with Christian Wood. I mean, it's going to, like, these Houston guys are all appealing on DraftKings, even if Harden plays, to me, Wood, Wall, and Harden. So they're going to definitely be highly in my lineup, but we have to wait to see in order to know what we can really do with this game until we hear about the health. I'm going to pretend that these guys are both playing right now, in which case I would say that Luke is one of my favorite plays on the slate.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So I have another one for you. So we forgot who it was, but there was one center that we thought had a really good, I talked about this against Houston, that, when Houston started to go away from Capella or whatever, you just play whatever big man, whatever. Who was it? Whiteside, right? I thought we liked Whiteside, or but it turns out that the other guy that Holmes totally smashed against them. Mm-hmm. So again, just don't shoot me, but Boban's 3,100. I just thought I would.
Interesting.
Just thought I would throw it out there. If people are going to play a bunch of Cowboys, I don't know if everybody's going to play Boban at 3,100.
It's hard.
It could be one of those stupid games, man. I don't know.
They have more size now is the problem, like, than they used to. Like, they have Powell healthy. They've got Willie Cauley-Stein healthy.
Well, then what's wrong with him? What's wrong with Powell?
Well, Powell's okay. But he's 4,200. He doesn't really seem to ever have a ceiling. If you're going to play these guys, I would just play Kleber instead.
Yeah.
Personally, I like Powell in general, but we haven't seen anything from him lately. And I actually think with him, it's better to play him if Luka plays.
Or he played, but Boban got 7 minutes last night. I didn't even see that.
Yeah, but I mean, we're going to need a little more than 7, I think.
Sure.
And they also have James Johnson who they can use as a 5. They just have a lot of guys that can throw bodies out there. It's not like last year quite.
He went for 6 and 6 in 7 minutes.
6 and 7. All right. You ready for the next one?
Yeah. So this one was I knew this was going to be the case. I'll give my shout out. I was listening to Morning Grind today, and when I first looked at the slate, I'm like, all right, this is like the easiest play on the face of the earth. And then he like came right out and said, dude, I'm going to play this guy. And we talked about this like six different ways over the last like 2 weeks. But you got Milwaukee's 100-point favorite against maybe a depleted Detroit team. So you can just play Bobby Portis and just go run to the window. We talked about him being like the greatest blowout run guy of all time, but keep something in mind though. I mean, he's been getting more real minutes. So it's not as much chopping at the bit to get that, you know what I mean, as otherwise. And the center position is a tough position, but you could play him at power forward also. So I like him. You got to obviously watch Detroit to see if they're playing or not. Couple of just things I noted. I played a lot of that guy. You talked me into him too. I didn't even know he was in play. And you talked me into him. I ended up playing just a bunch of him. And I have some opinions on him. I want to pull him up though. What the hell happened to him? Where is what position is he?
He's a small forward.
City Bay. Okay. So I watched him play. He played the full 30 minutes. He closed. He was fine. He was fine. He's definitely a hangout in the corner, come off of a little side, back screen, maybe be open for 3 type of guy, which might not be the worst thing in the world against Milwaukee, who doesn't mind giving up threes. So the other thing I would note is that one of the trepidations people had about playing him the other day was people were saying, well, he's too scoring dependent. but he was active on the glass also. Yeah. I mean, I was watching that, and you know, I'm looking at his game, but I don't remember it. But yeah, he had a couple of steals also. Mm-hmm. So if these guys are out again, like if they, and remember that was with Rose there. I mean, with Rose there, he got a full 30 minutes. He was playing well, and they more than happy to have him close against the Celtics. That's a big deal, right? Mm-hmm. And that was with Rose playing. They had him playing together. But and if Rose is out.
But the exact opposite thing happened the next game. They didn't start him anymore. They didn't close with him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would put him as a high risk upside play unless we hear he's in the starting lineup or something. I don't really know why they changed the lineup. I know they're fiddling with some things still, but I'm still sort of like, I don't know exactly.
Well, I will say this: there's literally no reason, like based on the performance the game before, for them to have not done the same thing. You know what I mean? Like that's what was weird, you know.
It was weird.
And I'm glad that game wasn't on the main slate because I probably would have played the shit out of him if I even knew that was happening.
Right.
So there's him. He's in play, I suppose. And then you want to go back to Killian Hayes again? Now he's only 3,500. Again, it's the same theory. We play these young guys, and you know this game could be over. Milwaukee. Giannis is 10-8. I think that he's going to get 50 fantasy points. He might get 60 fantasy points. Do you need that? I think if Luka plays, you don't need that. I think if Luka and Harden play, you don't need that. But if they don't play, maybe you do need that. I don't know.
Maybe just because we have we'll have some pretty serious value, but I still sort of like more middling-ish builds if I'm rather than using him. But I do think like the prices come up a little bit on him, but still like we saw them in an absolute just shit show the other day, put up 65 against Chicago.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say like don't play him. I'm just not going to be probably as high as I don't know if I'm going to be as high. I prefer the other guys over him. I do feel like we can't always predict a blowout, but this does feel like it sort of screams of a Milwaukee blowout. I like your Portis call a lot. It's interesting to note that people probably don't realize Portis, they played 5 games this year. Portis has scored over 30 fantasy points in 3 of those 5. And he's rebounding like crazy, like you said, and they're playing in minutes with the starters, without the starters. The guy who's going to get overlooked here is Drew Holiday. And while he might have like a higher range of fantasy outcomes, I think that there's enough here at 6,400 on FanDuel, and on DraftKings he is, let me just grab his price real quick. 68. A little bit more interesting to me on FanDuel, but it's not, you know, it's not, I still think he's an okay play. I don't know. I'm sort of not really wanting to play this game that much, but I do like the Portis part of it. That's the part that I could get on board with for tournaments. Everybody else feels like filler plays that are fine, like Middleton, Holiday are totally fine. Giannis is fine. I'm just not excited about any of them, and I don't feel excited about anyone on the other side either. It would be tempting if the game was going to be close to maybe take another shot on Blake Griffin, but I don't think I'm even willing to do that. Honestly, DeLon Wright off the bench, assuming or whether he starts this one or not, I prefer him a little bit over Killian Hayes and Saddiq Bey, or Saddiq Bey if he's not starting. If he's starting, I want Saddiq Bey. Killian Hayes, I'll take a shot or two, but again, I'm really not excited about it. I feel like I love this kid in general, but I think it's going to take him a few years, like at least a year, to where he really gets to be the full version of himself. He's 19, you know, he's a kid.
Wow, Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday in that 45-point blowout game, he scored 50 fantasy points in 25 minutes.
I know. You can take a shot with Holiday. I'm fine with Holiday. He's actually the guy I like the most on the Milwaukee side.
Okay, you want to go Indiana, New Orleans?
Yes.
I really like the way Lonzo Ball is playing. 6,700 is kind of expensive, and Indiana plays some good defense, so it's tough to get to him. Eric Bledsoe, man, they're no joke. They really priced him up. He was 5,500, 5,700, and then he had that game, which crap. So he's, I think, too expensive. I think that what we're supposed to do, Bobby, I really do think that we're supposed to play Zion every game.
Yes.
Until we're not supposed to. That's the best way I can describe it. I think every time he takes the court, he could score 60 fantasy points. So I think we have to play him. Unless there's we get some news that he's hurt or that they're benching him or something like that. You know, he's a second-year player who has incredible upside. You know, yeah, I mean, it's not the same up and down Pelicans, but nobody can guard him. So you have a guy that nobody can guard who's under 8K. I'm gonna try it. So that's where I would go. In Indiana, I don't really like anybody. I mean, if you want to know the truth.
So I think that there's still some merit to playing Aaron Holiday. I know the usage is low. He's 3.5. It's only if you're trying to pay up. And by the way, we just this second got word that Harden and Luka Luka's probable now and Harden's available. That's what.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So that's
what. You know what? Now we have a slate.
Now we've got an actual slate we can play.
But now we've got a slate that's not dominated by one game. I like
exactly. And it does to me that makes guys like Aaron Holiday a little bit more appealing.
Okay. All right.
Playing enough minutes. I don't love it. And again, I'm sort of with you. I don't really love any of these spots, but I don't think Oladipo is a bad play. It gets spread around over there and the prices are right. And there's no problems without anybody's price. I hate the matchup for Zion, but I agree that on that side, I think we just got to keep playing Zion. And honestly, I don't think just continuing to play Ingram every time is the worst thing either. I mean, pretty much like every what has he had? Half the games this year, he's put up 47, 53, and 61. And while the matchup may not be great at 8,400, not probably the ideal price you'd want to pay for him, maybe a little bit better over here on, I'm just double checking his FanDuel price because I think he is cheaper over here. Oh, he's 8,400 at FanDuel as well. But Zion's only 7,500 on FanDuel. I'm very into playing Zion, and I will have some Ingram in my non-Zion lineups. They don't seem to correlate too well together. There's going to be games where they both go off, sure, but in general, I don't see them correlating all that well. And as much as I hate the matchup for Zion, I think you nailed it. You feel the same way I do. I think we just have to keep playing him. There's just too much of a ceiling, and we haven't gotten to see it partly because of, honestly, they've just been getting rocked in too many games. And I also think people are going to go away from him because of the recency bias, but I really like Zion tonight. Even in a tough matchup, I don't think it's going to matter that much for him as long as they can stay in this game, which they're actually favored in. I think you're going to see a good game from Zion. So he's my major interest in this game. Aaron Holiday would be my value guy from this game.
I played a little bit of these reserves the other day, and they were okay. I mean, I played McDermott and what's his name, and TJ McConnell and the Holidays or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I was all with Brogdon out, or was that Oladipo out? Who was out that one?
I don't even think anybody was out. I think
they were
anyway.
No, they worked. I played him. I played that slate, and
okay.
I can't remember who. I thought something. I'm pretty sure I thought somebody was out for that game, but I could be wrong.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Maybe I'm wrong.
But I think this will be a close game. I think Pacers starters are just. I think Pacers starters are going to dominate the minutes, and they're priced accordingly. You know what I mean? Like I just don't see a lot of goodness there.
Yeah, and by the way, like I mentioned Aaron Holiday. You could take a shot if you want to on the no upside, but can probably help you hang in there. Justin Holiday, maybe if he gets hot, he gets put up 25. He's 4K. That's the only thing else I have in this game.
All right. If you didn't like any or all of that, you get a 2-hour break. Now you're not going to break. I mean, just as the other games are ending, you got the ultimate hammer. You got the Bay Area hammer, right? Sacramento, Golden State, and you get, Steph Curry coming off a 100-point game, right? What? Oh my God, he had 62 real life points and 18 for 19 from the line, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
How do you get to the line 19 times in a 15-point game?
I mean, the game was closer for a little while, I think.
Oh, it was. Okay.
But he can get to the foul line. I mean, it's crazy. For the first 4 games of the season, I think what's his name was averaging 16 attempts a game, Trae Young.
So I'll tell you what I like in this game. So I like one guy that can't quite figure out how much we're going to lose on him before we give up, but it's going to be a little bit more today. I think I'm going to play Oubre again. Keep playing him a little bit. until he bankrupts me. And then I like three centers. I like Rashad Holmes from Sacramento. I like Wiseman for Golden State, and I'll try Whiteside again, probably. Maybe only in the late slate, but I played him, by the way, when he had that matchup against Houston, which I said was a terrible environment for him to play in. And he played 3 minutes, turned the ball over, and didn't see the court again.
He got hurt.
So maybe it's not the wisest thing in the world. I may as well just play Nerlens Noel at the same price, knowing he's going to get into the game for 15 to 20 minutes. But you know what they can do, by the way? If they really want, they can trade Whiteside to the Knicks. I'll be more than happy to take him. Yeah, maybe Whiteside's a little bit fishy, but I do like both centers. I like Wiseman and I like.
Yeah, I like Holmes. I don't know where. I don't think I'm going to get to Wiseman. I don't see them going crazy with his minutes on a back-to-back. I'm actually curious to see. I'm expecting Curry to play. I like Curry a ton. I don't care. This is not chasing. This is the kind of thing he can do, and this is the perfect matchup for him to do it.
And do you like Fox too, running back?
I love Fox on the other side. I think Fox, Curry, Holmes has a nice little way to get exposure to this game. If you want, Corey Joseph's one of those other fishy like potential values, but I think we might end up with better stuff by the end of the day. Oubre, I'm worried a little bit about Oubre. He did a little better, but I'm worried a little bit that he's taken with not that he wasn't thriving with Draymond out, but I do think there's a chance. I mean, you'd think they would rest Draymond tonight, right? It would make sense on the back-to-back. Like, he just came back from the injury. Like, it seems a little odd to play him to me, but.
What did he play yesterday? 28 minutes? 20 minutes?
I don't think he even played that many minutes, to be honest with you. But let me see.
Oh, it says 28. That's what I said.
Oh, yeah, you're right. 28. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that you could potentially see him out tonight. Which, again, I'm gonna go back to Oubre and let him cost me some more money, as you would say. The guy who I think actually does get a little bit of a higher ceiling if Draymond's out is you might see Wiggins, and also you might see Wiggins more involved tonight anyway, just because Curry did all the heavy lifting last night. So I'm sort of interested in all these guys, but I would rank them Curry, Oubre, Wiggins. And then I would, on the Sacramento side, I would rank it Fox, Holmes. And then honestly, look, I see a different player. I'm gonna try and take advantage of it. I'll throw in the revenge narrative just for good measure. I'm gonna play some Harrison Barnes, especially on DraftKings at 5,600. He looks different. His body is a different shape, and he's still rebounding the hell out of the ball. Sort of up and down with the assists. You don't know what you're going to get from him on a nightly basis like that, but he's had a couple of nice assist games this year. And again, maybe he takes a few extra shots because of the little back in Golden State and all that stuff with his old boys and, the guy who had to go from the thing. And he's played well there in these spots in the past. So mildly interested in him. Just going to take a look at Buddy Hield's price on FanDuel. It's 5.7. Yeah, on FanDuel, you want to play Buddy Hield, I think, at 5.7. So that's mostly how I would rank them here. I think that's pretty much where we're at. And obviously we're going to have to wait to see about the inevitable tons of stuff that we don't know yet.
So what's the price on
and we didn't mention Bagley, by the way. At some point this guy is going to start playing 30 minutes. It's got to happen, right? And on FanDuel he's 4,800. So he stands out to me as more of the play over there. Not on DraftKings so much, but on FanDuel.
I'll say that they don't list Luka as like a small forward anymore,
huh? On DraftKings?
Yeah, I guess not.
Oh, it's annoying.
That would have been nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But yeah, I think we've got some ideas of what to do, and we'll be back with you guys at 6 Eastern because, as we know, there's a lot in the NBA season, especially this one, that we're going to have to stay on top of. So,
well, let's. What kind of value like there is right now? Like now,
Pritchard. Here, I'll pull it up. I'll pull up my favorite values of the whole slate. So at this moment, but again, there's a lot of other things that are going to open up on DraftKings. I'm not going to do it. I think. Well, we'll see what happens with Tristan Thompson. If he plays, I mean, he's definitely in play at 4,400. I don't love it on the back, but honestly, I don't see an incredible amount of value outside of Pritchard, Holmes, if you want to call that mid-range value. But my guess is that we might get a little bit more as the day goes, just because it's the back-to-back for four different teams are on back-to-back.
This is going to be ugly. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be. I don't think so, but the absence of value here is a little bit. And the value that I'm seeing is in positions where I don't want it. Like I don't see it in like the small forward, you know what I mean, in power forward positions where I don't have good plays, you know.
Right. It's a little tricky. But I just would be really surprised if some other stuff doesn't open up. Yeah, I mean, if you look at like even just on a projection basis, pretty much everybody in these who are considered value plays are like Tatum. Like he's too cheap. That's the truth. Harrison Barnes is a guy who might show up for you. You know, Josh Richardson might be worth speculating on. Maxi Kleber, get a power forward out of him. That's a value one. Sadiq Bey if he starts. You know what I mean? There's always that. I don't know what they're doing over there, so we'll see if that happens. And then the speculative Norman Powell, you can always take a shot with him. I don't understand the projections on John Collins being so low today. That's another side note, maybe. But
what about? I mean, and John Wall is really, really cheap.
John Wall is too cheap, but it's not like he's a lock for 40. With Harden.
No, he's not.
Well, I mean, you're looking at a game. He's played, 2 games? 1 game was without Harden.
Yeah, that's true.
So I wouldn't even treat that as a real.
So how would you rank the top guys? So
Luke,
go ahead.
I would go Luka 1. That's pretty much. I don't have another like. It would be Luka, probably Luka, Harden, Giannis. Right, really close between Harden and Giannis. Maybe Giannis is definitely. No, I'd say Luka, Giannis, Harden. It's close. Maybe because you want the correlation. You play Luka and Harden. It's hard to get that in. I think that Steph is right there with these guys, assuming that he's full go tonight, 9,300. So I don't think any much different of him. Those would be the guys I would look at, the first guys I'd want to spend up on. And then the middling range, you'd want Christian Wood. You mentioned John Wall, obviously. De'Aaron Fox. I would prefer De'Aaron Fox over John Wall tonight. That's sort of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I think I like boy, it's so hard to do him off the back-to-back, but like off that performance. But I think I like Curry. I mean, I think I like Luka the best, and then I think I like Curry second.
I think it makes sense.
I think I do. And you play them both?
Yeah. If you can, it's great. But the other question is, do you need to? Can you build a lineup with, let me just throw out some of these middling guys who I like quite a bit.
Like Zion and like stuff like that.
Yeah, you have the Zion, John Wall, Christian Wood, potentially even Capella, who, by the way, I should note, because if he's doing that on back-to-backs, we can feel pretty good about his minutes now. You mix in some Mitch Robinson, some Elfrid Payton if there's no Alec Burks.
This is what happens. Like there's a lot of guys in the same position. You know, we mentioned Capella, Wood, like Rashad Holmes, like all these centers and point guards.
Then switch to John Collins.
Peyton, Luke. Oh, Collins. Yeah, he could fit that up.
Yeah. So those are the middling, and Harrison Barnes. I'm just naming the other middling guys. Another high end one who I just think he's going to get a little overlooked tonight, and it's not a good matchup. But I always like Drummond. I just think he's got a huge ceiling every game this year, and even though he's not always flashing it, he's pretty safe for the rebounding part of it as long as the game stays close. Now, if there's a blowout, that's a whole different story. But he's put up over 57 in 3 of the 6 games so far. So at 9,200, he's another guy we should really be all over. In fact, he's a better play than probably people are giving him credit for. And I really like another middling value. Oh, Gordon Hayward. No wonder you like him. For some reason I was looking at the FanDuel pricing before. His price on DraftKings makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
LaMelo. There's just a lot of the middling guys. But for me, I like the Fox part of it. I like the Curry. I may end up not being able to get to Luka if we don't get some extra value.
I mean, you could build, like you said, like a pretty good lineup without any of them. If you wanted to do that.
Yep. By the way, just real quick to go back to the original thing, and if we get some value on Orlando and get Michael Carter-Williams, we could use him potentially.
What's Ross? Is Ross a shooting guard?
He's small forward. He should be small forward eligible.
He is.
But he's not like cheap.
No.
I would just play Darius Garland. If Darius Garland plays tonight, by the way, he's another one of the middling guys who I really like. I think he's got, it's a very good matchup for him against Orlando, even though Orlando is not like overall a good defensive team. They play slower. Darius Garland should be able to light these guys up, and he's looked great. He got injured in the one thing, and they had to blow out, and then got injured, and just shot the ball terribly in the one game. But I really think that, like, overall, you look at it, this guy's put up 30 or more in 4 out of the 6 games so far. He's put up 41 and 53 in two of the 6 games. So he's got enough upside at 5,900 where he's another one of those middling guys. And it's going to come down to what value we have. Jason Tatum is another one of the middling builds. But in terms of ranking favorites, it's kind of hard to do early in the day without knowing all the information. But I think Luka, Curry, honestly, I think that Drummond should be thrown into the mix with the middling part of the builds. He's still pretty high priced. But a lot of these 7 to 8K guys, John Wall, Christian Wood, and then 8,200, you have De'Aaron Fox. Those are the guys I'd be looking to build around right now, because if we don't get other value, because there's just too many things out there. We just got another news in. Here we go. Here comes some value. Here it comes. Blake Griffin and Josh Jackson are out.
Yeah, we figured that.
We figured them out?
Yeah.
Blake
that's what we're talking about, Sadiq and Killian Hayes, no, and the big blowout.
No, I mean, I was talking about the big blowout anyway, because they're terrible. But, no, Blake Griffin was completely projected to be in on my list, and okay. I think that does open things up a little bit. And by the way, I'm pretty sure that the last time when Sadiq Bey started, Blake Griffin. Oh, he didn't play in that game. That's what happened. Okay.
No, he didn't. But Rose did. But Rose did. Yeah,
then we're gonna get Sadiq Bey as value. He's gonna be good value
what's his name? And he's gotten really expensive, but he's playing really, really well. Is Grant?
I agree. He's good, but I'm not gonna play him.
Again, he can get blown out of this game. At 6,900, it's tough.
Yeah, DeLon Wright is gonna stand out a little bit. It'll be interesting to see Detroit's starting lineup. I'm really curious to see what they roll with tonight. So I understand now. I didn't understand at first. For some reason, I thought Blake had played in that first game against the Boston, but now him not playing, that makes sense why Sadiq didn't start last time. I totally didn't get it at first. But it also even opens up, like you said, Killian Hayes. But I think the better play is DeLon Wright and Sadiq Bey here.
Okay.
And even if DeLon Wright's not starting, I still like him a ton. I expect him not to start, and I still like him.
Who do you like more between those guys, like and Pritchard?
Pritchard. Yeah. Sadiq Bey may be better because he's the position scarcity, but Pritchard certainly feels more safe. But Bey may have a little more upside, actually. But my natural instinct would be to try and play both of them together.
Yeah, so maybe you could do that. Like maybe you could play like Luka and Harden. I mean, just as an example, you know what I mean? Like maybe even throw in Luka, Harden, and Wood or something like that, and be able to make it work. See, again, Harden, they make it nice and obviously easy for you, but because they make Harden a shooting guard,
mm-hmm.
it lets you try to play Luka and him together. Him together. Then you can put Pritchard as a guard, another guard, and then you could use, like you said, Sadiq Bey as a small forward. And then, like, God forbid, if Tristan Thompson starts, maybe you could use him as value.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so maybe you could play a couple of studs today because of that.
I think you can. I think, and again, we'll probably have more information ahead of us, so let's just be ready for that. And I mentioned it before, but Bagley on FanDuel at 4,800. I want to bet on Bagley for the long run. I think that this is like, we're going to start getting those games out of him at some point. They can play small ball 5 in a matchup like this, so they can use him instead of Holmes at times. And he looks great when he's on the court. They're just not playing him enough minutes for him to really get there for us. And we need a little bit more than 24 to 28 minutes. I would like him to be playing, have at least the upside to play over 30 minutes. And so far we haven't seen that, but I think that's going to change soon. All right. Are we good, Sheets, you think?
I think that we're good.
And guys, it's going to be an interesting build. Join us at 6 Eastern time every day. And we have some other stuff coming out, which I have to talk to Sheets about actually after the show. But good luck to everyone out there. And we'll see you at the top of the leaderboards.